The market is always correct, and you are just a participant. I had about $50,000 saved up, and I was 6 months into learning how to trade, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to quit my corporate job and trade full time. So I actually lost all that $50,000 over 3 years. God directs the boat, but you're the one in charge of rowing. He'll guide you where you need to go, but you got to put in the work. I saw this big gap in the space where like everything you just described is what is taught and what is clickbaited everywhere. Learn my golden strategy, learn this thing, you only have to work an hour a day. Where's the real work? Where's the process, right?
What is up, fam? Welcome back. Dude, I'm so excited for this episode. So I have my man, Tanner Owings, with us. So Tanner is like former corporate salary. He switched into trading. I'm going to let him talk about trading a little bit. Now has his own coaching company, and he is known as the Strong Trader, which is also the name of your coaching business, right? And
Strong Trading.
Yeah, Strong Trading. Yeah. So Tanner's an absolute, like, he's a boss. So I know Tanner. I'll give you guys a little connection of how we know each other, and then we'll jump into it. So first off, before I even do that, just thank you for being here, taking the time.
Absolutely.
Out of your day. I'm so stoked. I know you've hit some super huge milestones, which maybe we'll get into. But one, just thank you for being here, taking the time. I'm stoked on it. I'm stoked to talk about all the stuff that we'll talk about today. And it's going to be an epic conversation. But Tanner and I know each other through Brooke, and Brooke is our daughter's nanny. And so Tanner and Brooke have been dating for a while. And she introduced us at one of our talks, and then it's just kind of been history since, and it only made sense to have Tanner on the podcast. So that's why he's sitting in front of us today. But he has an epic story, epic journey, and he knows a whole bunch of cool stuff, and he's a man of God as well. So couldn't not have you on the show. So thank you for getting here, bro.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate you having me. I'm really excited. I love telling the story. I love whenever I can, give a little fire under someone just to take the leap and do something that they care about. So I love sharing the lessons I've learned along the way.
I love it. So, well, with that, dude, let's just get into it. So take us all the way back, as far back as you want to go, really. But I kind of want to know, like, give me the journey up to you getting into trading.
I was the first person in my family to graduate college.
Let's go.
Went to UC Santa Barbara.
Super
and like back then it was like, it was a bigger deal, I feel like, to go to college kind of back in the day versus now in the terms of like entrepreneurship and whatnot. So it's like back then I was like, okay, like I got to do it. First one in my family to do it.
Yep.
Graduated college. And then after that I was like, okay, now what? I was like, I have no idea. I got the piece of paper. Cool. But I was like, I don't know. I kind of want to do physical therapy actually for a little bit.
Oh, wow.
And then I was like, I don't know. So I became a personal trainer right out of college. Did it for like 4 months. Realized it's mainly a sales job. And then I kind of was like, I don't know if I like this as much. At the same time, I'm working at a restaurant for like literally my whole life pretty much. So in between like summers and stuff at school, I would go back and I'd work at the restaurant, over summers and during breaks and whatnot. And so it's actually kind of local here. It's called Tony Pepperoni in Aliso Viejo.
Okay, yeah,
Tony Pepperoni. So I did that forever. So like I knew people, like the restaurant industry. I knew how to talk to people. Like that was kind of my strength, I would say.
Yep.
So I graduated with a sociology degree, new restaurant, and then literally had no other skills. And I was like, okay. And then I could lift heavy weights, but it's not really something that you can really transfer.
We'll talk about that too.
We'll talk about that in a bit. But like that was kind of the background. And so after that, became a personal trainer. And then I would still work at the restaurant like 1 or 2 days. And then eventually personal training, I was like, I really don't like this. Like, I think I'm going to go get a corporate job. Like all my friends were telling me to do. I have the piece of paper. So ironically, my first corporate job out of college was for a marijuana technology company called Weed Maps.
Okay.
So they basically, it was like very corporate though. Like I went to an office and stuff, and like the app was just like locating dispensaries and stuff like that. Whatnot. So that was my first job, which was like pretty wild out of college, because I was like, this is what this is, and it was like not your typical office environment. You could probably imagine what it was like. So I was there, and then like they had these strict hours, like you got to work 8 to 6, and like other exceptions. And I originally was like, I started working 6 to 3 because I was working like with the Canadian team. So I was like, oh, this is cool. I kind of like the schedule. And then they shifted and they got like really strict with me. And then I realized, I was like, I care so much about like freedom of flexibility of my schedule. Like that is like my driver of like to be in control of that. I was like, I really want that more than anything. So one day, like I kind of voiced my opinion about how I didn't want to work those hours. And then they basically, I like just spoke up and I was like, you know what? Like I'm going to like, I don't know if I can do this. And I was like, I'm gonna take a day off. And then of course I came back the next day and they laid me off right away. And they're like, okay, well it sounds like you don't want to be here anymore. Like blah, blah, blah. And I was like, Okay. At the same time, I was always trying to do something entrepreneurial. I owned a gym for a little bit during that time. I was trying to start a gym with a few guys. It didn't really work.
Yep.
I tried the drop shipping thing, like, like on Amazon and whatnot. Didn't really care about it enough. I tried to start an app with like some of these guys, this wellness app. Didn't really that didn't work either.
Yeah.
And then literally I found trading. And I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting. And I've told this story on like a few other podcasts, but like I found trading through like the most like unconventional way. It was through the Bitcoin boom when like Bitcoin went to $10,000 for the first time. So it was like this huge deal at the time, and everyone was like running to Bitcoin. And I was looking at it and I was like, this is kind of interesting, kind of cool. And so I remember I threw like $1,000 into it, and I made like, 1,000 pretty much overnight or something like that. And I was like, whoa. And like that kind of had me hooked.
Gotcha.
And I remember like opening the charts and looking at that stuff and like having no idea what I was looking at. And then looking at more people in the space, and then seeing some of the people in the space and being like, this person isn't even that smart, but they're good at this skill. Like that's what I remember thinking. Like I'd see them like kind of show themselves on the internet. I'm like, this person's kind of dumb. Like, but they're good at the skill. I'm like, okay, this person's been doing this for 5 years. Oh, 7 years. I'm like, okay. So that's kind of when I was like, okay, it's possible, right? And so from there, like I ended up kind of just getting obsessed with trading and like looking into it more, researching it more. I got another corporate job for a restaurant technology company because I worked at the restaurant for so long.
Yep.
And that was honestly like a good job. It was cool. I was making like $70,000 a year. At the time I was, 24. So like, I'm like, okay, I could pay my bills. I live with my buddies by the beach here in Dana. Like I didn't have a lot of expenses.
Yeah.
It was cool for what it was, but I was always trying to do my own thing. So I was like, I don't like being controlled by people. I want to do my own thing. And so eventually I was there, and I like kind of took a few more courses, got a little bit more confident in my trading. I did save up some money. I had about $50,000 saved up, and I was 6 months into learning how to trade. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to quit my corporate job and trade full time.
Love it.
Which looking back was like the dumbest thing, but obviously I'm grateful for where I'm at and why I did it. But I always tell people this too, like I didn't have a lot to lose, man. Like I'm not married, I don't have kids. I live in a house by the beach with my buddies. Like I had nothing to lose. So I'm like, I'm huge on taking risks super early in life. I know everyone's in different spots and like cards are dealt differently for everyone. But like my cards during that time, I was like, okay, I can take this risk. Worst comes to worst, I go back and get a corporate tech job doing something. So quit my job. But the smart thing I did is I went backwards and I went back to the restaurant and worked like nearly full time at the restaurant at night. Because schedule wise, I could trade during the day, I could review and do like all my research and stuff, and then I could work like 4 to 9 at the restaurant.
Yep.
So that was the smartest thing I did, because that paid my bills, because I didn't make a dime for basically 3 years. I actually lost all that $50,000 over 3 years. And it was a struggle, but like it was something where it kind of had to happen. Yeah. And it's just a part of the journey of being a trader. It's very, very difficult, but if you can survive that initial learning curve of pain, then you kind of peek your head above water and then, blossom to where I'm at now, like 6 years in, where finally, like last year was like my breakout year where I made like real money. And I'm like, oh my gosh, praise God.
Dude, so cool. Man, there's so much I want to ask. So like, go back to you talked about the app, you talked about the gym, you talked about some of the stuff that didn't work out, and you talked about risk, which I think is important that not enough people talk about. But give me some of the biggest lessons you learned in there that probably prepped you to be able to step into that. Like 3 years, actually lost pretty much all my money. Like what were the biggest lessons that you learned in there?
I'd say the biggest one for sure is to try a bunch of stuff, number one.
Yep.
Try a bunch of things and find out kind of what you're obsessed with. And that's kind of what I realized is I love the gym, obviously. Yeah. But like when I had to start combining like my passion of like my outlet day to day with like a business side of it, it wasn't something I was like too fond of. Sure. So I was like, I want this to be separate where I get away and do this. So that's like the first thing is like find something you can be obsessed with and like be super passionate about it.
So good. Yeah.
And the other two things like with like the wellness app and like, the drop shipping stuff like that, I never was really passionate about it. It was something where I was like, I remember with the wellness app, I was like, cool, maybe I could build this and I could sell it one day.
Yeah,
and, be one of those guys that sells a company and makes all this money and I have all this money. But I'm like, thank God it didn't work like that because I wouldn't have learned anything. I wouldn't have been passionate about it. But like with trading, it was something where it was like, it's a giant puzzle. And I was like, this is so interesting. And then as I got deeper into it, what I realized ultimately with trading is like the biggest form of personal development that exists basically like in that type of career field, whatever it is. Because it forces you to level up. It forces you to look in the mirror. It forces you to look at your actions. It forces you to learn how to emotionally regulate. Like there's still to this day, like it's like, I always say it's a consistent journey.
Yeah.
Like people ask me all the time, like, okay, well, you're here now, you've made it. And I'm like, dude, but it could all be gone tomorrow. I could do something stupid and have a bad trade and ruin everything, right? It's like it takes consistent self-regulation and like that commitment to understanding where you are in the journey in order to like stay in that mindset.
Yeah, so I love it. And I can't relate to the trading piece of it because I've never done it, but walk us through then like what that looks like. Cause you said it's one of the best like self-development pieces. So outside of the business and making money and all that stuff, I think this would be a good transition. Walk me through like what parts of trading, mirror those, we'll say success skills.
Yeah. Like personal development skills.
Yeah. Like, so how, like give me the bridge between those two that people may not even like fully grasp.
So the market is always correct and you are just a participant.
Yep.
That is the biggest thing. And so your ego has to be left at the door.
So good, dude.
That's the number one. Yeah. Is like, because you are just not in control. It's like literally like with God's plan. It's like, it's not up to you. Like I saw this reel the other day that really stuck out. It was like God directs the boat, but you're the one in charge of rowing.
Yep.
And like I loved that because it's like he'll guide you where you need to go, but you got to put in the damn work.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. And so, like with trading in the personal development side of things, like the market is just this beast where it's like you have zero control. You're the smallest fish in this gigantic pond.
Yep.
And learning to be like, I'm wrong. Like, you know, take the loss. Like, you know, and I used to get frustrated. I tell that to everyone always too. Like, the goal isn't to be a robot. And this is something that's really like misconstrued in that space is like, you should have no emotions. You should trade perfectly like this and be a robot. But I'm like, dude, I'm human.
Yep.
I have emotions. And so it's just trying to figure out what triggers me and what doesn't. And like, then you start going through like that learning curve and you go through these little things where you're like, okay, if I start doing this, this is going to make me really frustrated. Oh, I just screwed up here. Like, let me take a step back, right, to compose myself. Ooh, big win. You're feeling all cocky.
Yep. Pull
back, bro. Like, so you're consistently, again, like when I say that personal development side, like, because it's forcing you to look in the mirror and like, again, like self-regulate yourself.
Yeah.
And be like, okay, what's the logical thing to do here? Because it's like, you obviously are big on the brain and everything. Like trading puts you into fight or flight, like automatically.
Yeah.
And so you get out of your logical brain all the time. And like, that's the hardest part with traders is like, I could see it so clearly when I'm not like in the charts in the moment. And I'm like, yeah, because like you're operating from your logical brain, like not your fight or flight. And that's kind of how it is. So kind of like to tie that all together. Really, it's just like it's holding the market's holding a big mirror in front of you.
Yeah.
And it's up to you to learn how to respond to it. And then also know like when to react in like smart ways.
For sure. Mm-hmm. I love that, dude. There's so many parallels. Like, you know, when I'm coaching other chiros specifically, like the frustrations that they have. And this is what I love about entrepreneurship in general is like the frustrations that people have are often the place that they need to look for like that self-development. So a simple example, like in our space would be if someone's like, man, I can't get people to like follow through long-term. And I'm like, yeah, but like, when's the last time you followed through long-term on something? And they're like, never, you know, they're like, let me try this marketing thing for 1 week, or I'm going to try Instagram ads for 1 week. And then they jump off of it. So there's so many parallels, dude, which is so, so good. So what is your program like when you're coaching other people on how to trade? Give me just a little taste of like, are you teaching those disciplines of like self-control, how to regulate yourself? Because I would imagine that you're not just teaching like, here's all the stuff you need to know about trading when you look at these charts that I don't know anything about. So kind of walk us through just a little bit of like what coaching somebody looks like.
Yeah. So basically the whole reason I started Strong Trading, like the brand, and like started coaching and mentoring people is because I saw this big gap in the space where like everything you just described is what is taught and what is clickbaited everywhere.
They're just looking at the charts.
Learn my golden strategy, learn this thing. You only have to work an hour a day and stuff like that. But I'm like, where's the real work? Where's the process, right? And so to tie it into powerlifting, so you obviously know, but like for people out there, I've been competing in powerlifting for nearly 10 years now. And the process of getting stronger day to day, it's like, I don't go into the gym and be like, I want to max out today just because I feel like it. It's like, no, I have a program, I follow structure, I do what it says. And then, you know, and eventually you make adaptations and go through all that type of stuff. So with trading, early on, I got really lucky in the sense where I learned from really good mentors to like journal and review from the get-go.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because when I started talking to more traders, especially developing traders, so many people weren't journaling or reviewing. In my head, I'm like, this is this is like what you have to do. Like, why would you not do this? Right. And so I remember like going to bed, like my first 2 years, I'd watch a video of this big prop firm in New York called S&B Capital. And like they're professional traders and they're talking about doing deep review and all this type of stuff. So for me, it was like ingrained off the get go. I'm like, you want to be professional in this? You want to make 7-8 figures? Like, it's going to take you to do that type of work.
Yeah.
And so from the beginning, like that's what I did. And then I saw this gap in the space where I was like, a lot of people aren't doing this type of stuff. And then I started getting more like, intricate with it as time went on. I started implementing like things to track like my habits, my emotions. But again, it's just like the process-based work is truly what forms that like continuation of getting better at the skill. And I believe that with everything. Kind of like you just said, you were talking about the chiropractor stuff, like following up and staying consistent. It's the same idea. So it's like, how long can you consistently journal and show up? How long can you consistently go to the gym? How long can you consistently eat the same diet, right? Like all that type of stuff. All those things are just like you staying with it and writing it out till eventually you could peek through and your body and you're like, oh, I see something coming out of this. But that was where I saw the big gap. I was like, okay, you don't do this, you don't do this, you don't do this. And I was like, well, I know how to teach this stuff pretty well. Even when I was like barely profitable at the time. I remember I was like just finally profitable because I started my coaching business about like 3.5 years in. So it was like barely profitable. And I always say like, when everyone hears that term in the States, like, oh, you're a profitable trader. I'm like, yeah, I'm making $2,000 to $3,000 a month.
Yeah.
I'm like, it doesn't mean I'm lavish, like, but I'm like, I'm making money from the skill. And like, I'm in control of my schedule. So I'm grateful for that. So then I saw that opportunity to be like, okay, let me help people build this process in the space.
Cool.
And that ultimately is what's led to, the growth of it.
That's so awesome, man. What is, if you had to boil it all down and you're like, this number one thing that either people mess up or that if you could just plant it in somebody and you're like, I know you'll be successful if you have this thing, what would it be?
Don't give up.
But
also there's an asterisk to that. Because people can show up at the blackjack table every day and just throw all their money out. Right? It's like, don't give up, but also consistently figure out how to refine. That is the real kicker, right? It's like, because that's the whole point of the journaling, the review. You could sit down, you can look, and you could be like, dude, I'll give a great example of something. Like something I struggle with a lot is rushing market open. Meaning like right when the market opens, I'm like, okay, like I want to go right away, right? And I just learned through going through journals and my data, I'm like, my best trading setups come 20 to 30 minutes after the open. And even though maybe 2 or 3 times out of 10, it will work right at the open, statistically, that's not that significant. So like, it's always in those moments where I see something and I'm like, Tanner, remember, like it'll give you another opportunity 20 to 30 minutes later. And so again, that's the self-regulation point where it's like, okay, that's me refining. It's me looking at my data, everything I've been doing and being like, okay, let's implement a change in order to create actual change. And that's the biggest thing. Dude,
that's so cool. So cool. So then let's bridge in the other part of it, which I was really excited to talk to you about. Let's bring faith into it. So in all of this, dude, of like corporate to the restaurant to now having your own coaching program and like being really successful in trading, where does God sit in that conversation for you?
Dude, I mean, God literally is everything that has helped me. Like I swear, like when I came back to him, so okay, rewind. So I grew up Christian. Went to church. Parents kind of like, made me go to church and stuff, but I enjoyed it when I was young. Like it was cool. And then eventually kind of it got to, being pressured to go to church. And then of course, like, you become a teenager and then you go to high school, there's temptations and stuff. Kind of just stopped going. Right. And I remember I was never like, oh, I don't believe in God or like any of that type of stuff. But just where I was in life, it was like I was surrounded by people that weren't really talking about it or it wasn't like a big thing. And then as I kind of, got older and stuff, I reignited my own curiosity. And this is something I think it's really important for anyone that grew up in like a, Christian household or anyone that has like religious parents is like, if like you need to, as you get older, I think come back to God yourself if you have fallen away. Right? It's like, and that's kind of where I was like, this is my decision to do this. I want to do this for me because like I'm curious about it. It was there before. I know like Jesus has never left me. And so for me, it was kind of like just slowly like inching my way back in where I was like, I'd start like taking like walks around my neighborhood and kind of like, talking to God at night. Like that's kind of how it started where I noticed. And then, it would never be anything where I would be like, okay, do this for me. And like you show that something is, that you're real or it's happening. It was more just like, I started to have a little bit more trust because I would just like, I'd start to practice gratitude a bit more. Like that was like a big thing for me too. And like even in my early years of a trader, I would lose money that I didn't have to lose, and I'd drive down here to Dana Point, and I'd get a coffee, and I'd walk around Strands and be like, at least I'm not in the office. Like literally like all the time. And I'd be like, thank you, God. Like this is, I know I'm on a journey. I know it's not happening as fast as I want, but like I trust you. And so I started saying that words a lot. Like, I trust you. I trust you.
Yeah.
And then like, went through more ups and downs, kind of a big like rock bottom moment where like I just went through something big personally in my life. And then during that time, I kept saying like, why? Mm-hmm. And then I kind of switched it to like, I trust you.
Yep.
And then literally it was like coming out of the valley. And then literally, I kid you not, I like went to church like the next Sunday. And that like, since then it was like, just like I call it in the market, it's called like a V-shaped recovery. It's like, boom. It was like just a crazy breakout for me where I was like, okay, like I start talking to God more. I start going to church and incorporating him back into my life. And like, oh, cool. I'm out of debt. Oh, cool. I'm saving some money.
Yep.
Oh, cool. I'm like, my relationships are flourishing. I'm at Brook, like, like all like my friends, like all this stuff. Got my own apartment finally. Like, there's just all these things are coming together, and I'm like, dude, that's not a coincidence, bro.
For sure.
Like, it's not. And it's like and that's like what has like made me keep leaning into it.
Yep.
And like, for me, like this last little piece on this real quick, I found a church for me that didn't make me feel bad for like who I am and things I still do. And I think that's the hardest part with religion for me in general.
Yep.
Is I was always kind of pressured by like my dad, like even to this day, if I say like the F word on like my story or something, he's like, you can't say that, stop saying that. And I'm like, it's my content, like stop. Yeah. But like that was something that always like pushed me away, because being a Christian, what I love about Harbor Point, the church I go to, is their first thing they start every service with is, we're not all perfect. We don't have all the answers.
Yep.
We're all on this journey. We all get pulled away here and there. So if you're here today, just thank you. We're just trying to get a little bit closer to Jesus. And I loved that, because I was like, oh, I don't have to feel bad about like having that extra beer, or like, or like doing, or like saying something, or having a thought, or whatever it is. It's like, yeah, I know I'm on the journey of trying to like get better, but I don't have to feel bad about it. And I think that was something that really, really clicked for me, where now like, that's why I'm like, I love being a Christian, honestly.
So cool. Yeah, dude, they're so I had a similar, fun. So I decided to go to church. There's a long backstory in it, but the next day, so go to church Sunday, the next day, Heather and I got 2 checks from the IRS, and it was like $6,000 total or something like that. Had no idea that they were coming. And like the only thing I could attribute it to, I'm like, it's because we went to church, is what I told Heather. So God is not a genie in a bottle who like just grants you money, but it was enough for me to like, for him, because God is so smart. He's like, I'll just get you to where you realize that like the whole time I've been with you. And then if you continue to follow me, like, I love that you use the word trust, even more so than the word faith, but just like the trust that he will deliver on his promises. And dude, that's one of my biggest frustrations. I was just having a conversation with a guy that I had out here a couple weekends ago for coaching. And he's like, he goes back to school, and he feels like he's challenged with all of his friends who are Christian, who are like, you shouldn't have sex out of wedlock. Like, you're a sinner, you're going to hell. And he's like, he's like, I can't wrap my head around, like, he's like, I know that the Bible says those things, but he's like, I see this dude and he does worse stuff than I do. And so a lot of times it's like the legalistic Christians that push everybody else who like would actually like would benefit so much from believing in God and trusting in Jesus and all those things. But it's like the really, really legal Christians that push us away from it. And that's the biggest frustration. I love that you found that, because like you said, it's like none of us are perfect. And the Bible says that none of us are perfect. And Jesus, I love the story when there's the prostitute and they're like, we want to stone her. And Jesus is like, I'll let any of you who haven't ever sinned throw the first stone. And they all just like drop the rocks and walk away, because they're like, dang, dude. So I think that's more of what you experience in your church, is like he who doesn't sin can cast the first stone. Yeah. Which is so good. So dude, I love that, man. What's been like your biggest breakthrough between like God and business when we talk about trust? Like, is there one moment where you can say like definitively, this is where I'm like undeniably never going to stop this journey with the Lord?
It's actually, I just had like a little, it's crazy bringing this up. I had like a little moment like this the other night, like literally 2 nights ago. So every Sunday night I do this like thing called like Sunday reset, right? I have this gym pass to like this kind of like nicer luxury gym in Aliso Viejo. Yep. where I don't even really work out there. I just go and I go in the steam room and I literally just meditate, and then I go out in the jacuzzi and I just like pray and chill with God.
Yeah.
And it's like it's my Sunday reset.
I love it.
I call that. And so I do that every Sunday religiously, well, ironically. And so I do that every Sunday. And this past Sunday, I'm walking to the steam room, and this guy stops me and he goes, Tanner. He's like, hey man. And he puts out his hand, and I'm like, I don't know who you are. And he's like, dude, I just want to say like, thank you so much for everything you post. Like, I've been following you for a couple years now. Like, seriously, like, you always just keep it real and remind, like, and just motivate me to like keep pushing on this journey of like becoming a profitable trader. He's like, and just everything you post is so authentic. So I just want to say thank you so much. And honestly, because of everything you post, like I got my first payout last month, like from a prop firm.
Let's go.
And I was like, that's awesome. Like, oh my gosh. And it's crazy because, side note, so this past, okay, I'm going to hopefully not sound like I'm bragging, but like I'm really grateful for this. So this
brag, bro.
So this
it's all
past
good.
month, I had a record month start the year.
Let's go.
I bought my dream car.
I
bought that M3 competition out there.
So
I'm super stoked on that.
Congrats.
But I told myself I wouldn't buy it unless I could buy out my leased car and give it to my parents.
So cool.
So I did that this past month. So it was like a super, super cool moment where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for this. And after doing all of that, like I was posting some stuff about my car. And I was like, is this like, you know, kind of selfish, egotistical? I don't want to make people feel bad, but also it's like for those people who've been following me for a long time, like they saw me like when I ate shit. I'm like, they saw that. So it's like, I'm like, no, like some people understand. But again, I just felt kind of weird about it because I'm like, I'm not trying to like brag or anything. And I honestly kind of hate the people in the industry that like only show their cars and the watches and all the material stuff. And so I was kind of feeling like off about it. And then like I always am trying to remind myself, like it's about the people. And then literally I'm like going through those thoughts, and that guy runs into me in the locker room, and I was like, this is God saying like, keep going with the journey. Like you're on the path. Life is about people. Keep making content, keep putting stuff out there, because like whether you realize or not, like you're motivating and inspiring people to continue on this journey, which is very, very difficult to do. So that was like a big moment where I was like, wow, like, okay, God, like you're still, you know, you're still steering me in the right direction and stuff like that. But other than that, it wasn't any like really big, everyone always asks about the aha moments. It wasn't that. It was just cumulative, like adding up and showing up and doing the right things, consistently going to church and praying, like making time for God. I went to like some life groups last year. I have this like crazy thing now. I do this like daily scorecard where I'm like scoring myself on like all these different parts of like my day and my life of like, okay, like did I do everything right trading? I have this like gratitude section where I'm like, did you spend like 10 minutes with God and like pray and stuff like that? And so it's like, I go through all this stuff every day, and it's like, and it's just like, again, I'm just trying to build in my little buckets of personal development, like getting better at this, getting better at that. And I think that's just all cumulatively like adding up. So it's like, back to your original question, like aha moment with God and like business and stuff like that. I think it's just like consistently showing up and making time for him and trusting him, which just like lead to these signs happening right in front of you. And like, you know, it's God being like, yo, keep going.
So good, dude. And I think that you shared it perfectly before. Is like, this thing didn't work out. This thing didn't work out. I was in like the darkest spot. Cause I think so many times people think that like, well, as soon as I say yes to Jesus, like my life is just going to get grand and magical and better. And while I could share that mine does, it also simultaneously gets harder. And I love that your point in all of it is like, dude, there is a consistency. And you said at the beginning of the episode, like the fact most people just want overnight success, or they want to get a 6-pack, but only go to the gym twice a week. And I'm like, dude, literally nothing in your life that's worth doing comes off a one shot, like one and done, anything. Like I can't think of anything, dude. Relationship with God. If you're going to get married, dude, you don't go on one date and then you just magically get married and have kids. Like it usually doesn't work out that way. Going to the gym and being able to lift super heavy, like all of those things, trading require long-term commitment when it's hard, when it sucks, when you feel like you're on top of the world. And I love one of the messages that I hope like people really catch with you that is really just setting in for me is like, even when you feel on top of the world, like, oh, I just crushed it, is like, just check yourself again so that you make a good decision.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like, that's the thing too, like, especially I've experienced this now as I've been scaling as a trader. It's like, you go through the little milestones certain days, right? Like your first $1,000 day, your first common day. Oh my gosh. Like, right. Then like your first 5-figure day. Like, oh my gosh, crazy. I haven't had it yet, but like, I know it'll come. Like I'll have a 6-figure day and I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, this is nuts. But like all those milestones, eventually, you know, they become repeated as you get better at the skill. And then you start kind of having bigger fluctuations and stuff. And so it's like one good win, you just like, okay, cool, good trade, on to the next, right? And so it's like show up. It's just about showing up and being consistent. And like, again, like my relationship with God is like, I never, ever looked at it as like, okay, maybe this is going to fix me. It was like, honestly, I just had a genuine curiosity of like, I think it's the personal development thing, because I just personally am like a personal development nerd, because I'm just like, life is about growing and getting better. Like I don't care how old you are. You always can work on something in your life, recognize something that you're not doing, recognize something you want to get better at, and make deliberate effort to get better at it.
100%.
And so for me, I think that was maybe that's a selfish reason I want to get closer to God, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna become a better man, which like is not even a bad thing at all, but like it's something where I was like, oh, this is another form of something I geek out on that I like. It's like the ultimate form of personal development. This is sick. And so for me, like that's why I just he's been at the center of it all now.
So good, man. So when we talk about God being center of it all, let's go back to strong trading. And maybe not even strong trading or coaching or any of it, but just on a grand scale for you, what's like the legacy, the mark that you want to leave on the world? Like at the end of your time, not tomorrow, not 5 years from now, but like go big beyond, like biggest legacy, biggest mark you want to leave on the world.
Gosh, it's such a loaded question, because I've never fully thought about like this giant thing. I think I just want to motivate people to always like go after something. I think it just scares me to see how many people get stuck in not even just a job, but like anything, right? Like bad, business, friendship, relationships, like whatever it is. It's like people just think like, oh, this is just how it is. And it's like, no, it's not. It's like you have to challenge yourself to get out of that comfort zone. And it's like one of my biggest fears is like seeing someone that, has worked a job that they hate for like 25 years. They do the same thing. They're maybe excited to get their little, 1% bump or something like that. And like that like scares me, because I'm like, dude, you all have more potential. It's just like, but you have to tap into it. And I think a lot of people are afraid to start once they're so like deep into it. But I was like, dude, I didn't find trading until I was 26. I know that's still relatively young, but I screwed around a lot of my early 20s, just partying and being dumb and like not really having any ambition. And again, tried a bunch of stuff, because I realized, okay, I need to try stuff. And a lot of people are afraid to even try anything. And I'm like, dude, just try something. So like my biggest mark I want to leave in the world is to motivate people for sure to go after like their own dream and try something. And if that's successful and I help a few people do that, or, hundreds of people do that, or thousands, whatever, like that's going to make me genuinely happy.
So good, dude. Yeah. I mean, I just go back. I would hope that you would agree. And this isn't like a misstep to say what I'm about to say. I know for me, dude, I'm not that smart. And I look at myself and I'm like a high school English teacher, and then now have my own business, like in a place that my dream place to live. If I can do it, and if Tanner can do it, hopefully that's not overstepping to say that, bro. But I'm like, yes, we're smart, but we're not that smart. And like taking the risk is so freaking worth it.
Risk and action, dude.
Yeah.
It's just, so much of it is just action. I swear, like anyone, that's what, again, like that's what like a long time ago, I remember specifically, I don't want to like call the guy out, but I remember seeing this guy on social media that was super into crypto and stuff during that time. And I was like, this guy's a dumbass. I was like, this guy's not that smart. He just like doesn't carry himself well. I was like, but he's really good at this skill. And like, what's the common denominator? Oh, he's been doing this for 6 years, 7 years without giving up. Like, so again, like that's what it comes down to, is how long can you stick with something consistently and not give up? And like, that's where I'm at, like with the gym now too, right? I've been competing almost for 10 years in powerlifting. People look at me in the gym like, how are you that strong? Like, I'm like, because I've been doing this for a long time now, like a long time, and showing up and doing it every day. Like, so there's still days and weeks where like last week, I just had like kind of a bad, like, mental week, and my body was like, you'll like this little segue into like kind of chiropractor stuff a little bit, but literally last week I was so stressed and just overstimulated from everything in my nervous system, because I competed 3 weeks before that. I didn't really take one weekend or any days to rest, and it finally all caught up with me, especially because I had a crazy month trading, just pushing it. My nervous system was just like way up here. And so I'm at the gym and I'm warming up, and I throw on literally 225 on deadlift, and I feel like my lower back will like pop, and like I'm like, and I'm like, with 225? And I'm like, bro, that's stress.
All stress,
that's CNS, like that's all that. And so I'm like, okay, like, listen to your body, like pull back, chill.
100%. So good, man. All right, so let's go. We talked about big legacy. Let's go back 5 years from now, strong trading. Where you at?
5 years from now. So one of my big goals is to have kind of like a coaching agency, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
I want to have a lot of coaches under me. So
Cool.
I have 2 coaches that work for me currently, Bryant and Lauren. And like eventually I kind of want to have coaches that specialize in certain things.
Yep.
Because there's so many different parts of the market, right? It's like maybe someone is really into options. Okay, I want this to be the options coach. Okay,
Yep.
This person's really good with futures. Okay, specifically this, I have a coach that, I don't know, trades small caps or something like that. Whatever,
Sure.
like all the niches within trading.
Yep.
I would like to do that. And then again, just stay focused on the process thing, because so many people don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to have like multiple coaches under me in order to keep helping as many people as I can.
I love it.
And then just keep growing my social media, because like that's been the other constant thing too, is I've been making content now for like 3 years straight consecutively. But even before that, I always post like my powerlifting videos and stuff like that. So I've always kind of been obsessed with Instagram and like content and social media a little bit. And so naturally, like I'm good at talking to the camera now. It's kind of like a, something I just do all the time. And so I just want to keep making content, and then like obviously it's gonna be cool to have a lot of followers and be like, oh, like I'm reaching this many people, but it's like, how many people am I impacting?
Yeah.
Because now I'm getting messages all the time, and then meeting people in person and being like, yo, you inspired me to do this, and I'm like, that's really cool. That's a cool feeling. So just keep showing up in that aspect.
Dude, I had a guy one time. I was walking out, locking the door. It's like dark outside. And this guy's like, you're the Nexus podcast, dude. And I'm like, yeah. And so he came up to me and he's like, dude, you literally saved my life. He's like not happy, on the verge of committing suicide, like didn't know what was wrong with him physical body wise, had all this stress in his business. And he was from Texas. And he like, I listened to your podcast, and he's like, I went and found a chiro, and it just completely changed my life. So I share that, not because it's about me, but just what you said again, dude, is like the consistency and the just willingness to do it for the long term. Like that dude may not be alive. And you probably have people that are the exact same. So I just remind anybody listening, like, go all in, don't stop doing it, freaking be consistent. It's the most important thing.
100%.
So good, dude. All right, we're going to go like rapid fire, a couple questions, and then we'll talk about just the normal stuff. So what is one thing that people misunderstand about you?
I'm a gentle giant.
Yeah.
I had this lady yesterday, literally I got like an altercation at the gym because she's like, I asked to work in on this machine. Yeah. And then she instantly was like, no, you know what? No, you guys are just on your phones the whole time. I'm gonna take my time on this. And I literally was like, okay. I was like, that's fine. You just don't have to be rude about it. Yeah. And then she's like, you're in the corner lifting all this heavy weight, intimidating everyone, looking all angry. And I'm like, I'm a kind soul, dude. Yeah. Like I know when I'm lifting, I look crazy, but like it's different. It's like a different like time and place. So I guess like that's the biggest thing, is just like, I don't know. I'm genuinely like a nice dude, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Give us one book or resource that has changed your life the most.
Besides the Bible?
Besides the Bible. Okay. You could say the Bible too.
The Bible, yeah. I mean, there's still so much about the Bible that like I'm not good at reading. Like it's like I find myself always like, maybe me and you could sit down and talk about this one day, but like finding like how to navigate certain chapters and like wanting to use it for like day-to-day lessons. So like example, I read actually in my car every single day 10 pages. It's my post-trading thing. Yep. I drive down to Dana, still same thing, consistency, right? Past 5 years. Yep. I get a coffee, I park at Strands, and I sit in my car and I read 10 pages of something every day. Yeah. And then I go on like a walk or something like that. But like I have my Bible and I like, I try to incorporate the Bible here and there, but sometimes I find myself like lost going like, okay, like, well, where do I want to read? What do I want to look at? Yeah. So I'm trying to kind of navigate that. But other than that, like book wise, number one book, gosh, probably Atomic Habits. Cool. Atomic Habits. Anything on habits, right? Because again, I'm just finishing a book right now, and it's like in that same realm, really good. It's called The Slight Edge, and it is all about.
Do you remember who wrote that one?
I don't.
Yeah, no big deal. Anyway, sorry, I cut you off.
The Slight Edge, really, really good one. Same idea. It's all about just literally showing up and doing consistent little things, which cumulatively over time build this slight edge in whatever you're doing. And it's hammering all these principles of like, the person that's going to, show up and walk every day is going to be, fitter 100%. And it's going to translate to this, or like, with lifting or eating or again, with anything. So it's like any habit oriented stuff. It's like, it's just about showing up. And so like books like that really influence me.
So good. So good. And then last question if you could go back to a previous version of yourself, like let's say when you started, like when you were with Weed Maps, and you could give yourself any piece of advice, what would it be?
Probably, honestly, I would just say, just stick with it. Like, it's like, just trust yourself. Because at that time, I still had the mindset of like, Tanner, you're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
You're special, dude. Like you're going to figure it out. You're not, because I was just never lazy also. Like in school, I was always good at doing busy work. I was always that type of dude. I wasn't good at like test and analytical stuff.
Yep.
And so, but I was always good at showing up and doing the work. So I was like, I would say just like keep trusting your mindset. That would be like the biggest thing. And then obviously I would say like, you know, come to God sooner if you could. And that would probably be like the bigger thing of that. But like believing in yourself and having that, you know, that self-talk, I think is really, really important. Yep. So it's like, side note on this real quick, actually, one thing I added into my journal review, and I do this for all my traders as well, is a positive reinforcement. Like, what did you do good today? And that was something, because I remember going through all my data and looking at it, and I was like, my journals were just like, you're terrible at this, you're bad at this. And I was like, dude, where's the positive? Where's any of the love? So like that self-talk thing, I started adding that in, and like all my traders too love that. They're like, dude, yeah, this has actually been really helping me, of being like, you know, oh, okay, you know, you took a stop on this, but like it was still a really good setup and you followed your plan. Like, you know, positive, cool, stuff like that. So it's like, talk to yourself positively. Yeah,
I think that's with like specific, I don't know why, man, with most entrepreneurs, I think that's something that we miss, is like, I can remember having coaches where I'm like, tear me down, give me the beat down. And they're like, bro, you actually don't need another beat down. What you need to do is just like say some positive stuff.
You need to double down on the stuff that's working.
Yeah.
Right.
And so like, even like, I love that you said that, is just like, just a reminder for everybody listening. Like, even if it's something small, those reminders, because there's every day, dude, there's something to be positive and uplifted about. And like, you don't even make good decisions when you're in beat down mode all the time anyway. Like, you can be corrected, but that's a whole other thing. Yeah. So, all right, as we wrap it up, tell people, like, where can they find you if they want to learn more about you, if they want to get in touch with you? Like, what's the best way to do all that?
Definitely Instagram at The Strong Trader. That's like my main platform. I'm also on YouTube. I'm also on X. Like the trading space is big on X, but like I don't go on those as much. Yeah. I'm on them, but like Instagram is the spot for sure. For sure. Absolutely. And then also, if you're interested in one-on-one coaching, check out strongtrading.com.
Love it. Go check out his Instagram. I love your Instagram because it's like most of the videos are, it's just like, it's like you and your kid. It's like we're chilling with you in your kitchen. Is almost what I feel like. It's like we're just like hanging out, leaned over the like countertop chatting. So I say that because you do a really good job at content, but it's like, it's just real. It's not you necessarily teaching. It's not like, hey, I'm smarter than you. And you mentioned that before, but it's like, genuinely, if you want to see like really good content, go check them out. You got to do it. Anything else that you would leave people with before we wrap it up?
Just keep showing up, guys.
Yeah.
Like, literally just keep showing up. It's like, that's really, and there's plenty of days where you don't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
There's so many days where you don't feel like doing it, but like try to check off some small win, right? Something. You ate a good meal, you went for a walk, you know, do something you don't want to do. I'd say that's the biggest thing, because that's day to day. There's tons of stuff I'm like, I don't feel like doing this.
Yep.
Go do it.
Just do it anyway. Yep. I love it. Well, Tanner, thank you so much for being here, man. I'm so grateful. Such a good reminder for everybody, like especially in the beginning of the year, to like just keep showing up. Do the small things. You don't have to freaking hit home runs, but like it's the little tiny things over time that make all the difference. And man, I second that in so many ways. So thanks for being here, brother.
Of course, dude. Much love.
Love you, man.
Appreciate
you. All right, family. We'll come at you again next week. Peace.